The rain was coming down harder than I'd seen in months, smudging the city lights into long, trembling streaks through the car window. My baby, Aaron, whimpered softly in my arms. He was only 6 months old, too little to understand the tension that filled the air like static. My husband, Daniel, sat in the passenger seat beside his mother, who was driving. I was in the back, cradling Aaron, trying to keep him warm. The air smelled of her perfume, sharp and cold, like crushed mint leaves, and every time she spoke, her words cut deeper. "I told you, Daniel," she said sharply, glancing at me through the mirror. "I didn't raise my son to end up with a woman like her. Look at her. No family, no money, no manners." I swallowed the lump in my throat. I'd heard this speech too many times, but tonight something felt different. Daniel didn't say a word. His silence was louder than her insults. I tried to speak softly, not to wake Aaron. "Mrs. Whitmore, please. It's raining. Let's just get home," she scoffed. "Home? You mean my home? You've been living off my son since the day he married you. Now you've dragged that baby into this mess too." Aaron stirred, and I kissed his forehead, rocking him gently. My chest burned with humiliation, but more than that, with heartbreak. Because Daniel was staring out the window, refusing to meet my eyes. We had moved back in with his mother a few weeks ago after Daniel lost his job. I thought it would be temporary, just until we got back on our feet. But from the first day, his mother made it clear that I was unwelcome. She refused to let me cook, sneered when I cleaned, and rolled her eyes whenever Aaron cried. Tonight, though, it had gone too far. We were returning from a family dinner, one where she had humiliated me in front of her friends, calling me a charity case. I had sat there quietly, holding Aaron while Daniel smiled awkwardly, pretending not to hear. Now, in the car, I could feel the weight of her contempt pressing down on me. When we stopped at a red light, she turned around, her eyes flashing. "I've had enough of this nonsense," she snapped. "That baby's crying again. I can't stand the noise." "It's just the rain," I said softly. "He's scared." "Scared?" she repeated mockingly. "Well, maybe you should take your scared little brat and get out. I'm not driving another minute with that child screaming in my car." I froze. For a moment, I thought she was joking. The rain was pouring outside, and it was nearly midnight. But then she slammed on the brakes and turned around fully, pointing toward the door. "Get out," she said. "Now, Mom!" Daniel finally spoke. But his voice wasn't the protest I needed. It was quiet, weak. "Maybe we should just calm down, she shouted. "You've let this woman ruin you. She's turned you into a beggar, and now her child is screaming in my car like some street urchin." I said, "Get out!" Aaron started crying louder. My hands trembled as I tried to cover him with my shawl. I looked at Daniel, hoping, begging for him to say something. To protect us, to tell her to stop. But he didn't. He just sat there, staring at the dashboard, his face pale and blank. My throat tightened. "Daniel," I whispered, "please, say something." His lips parted, but no words came out. Only silence. And that silence, that terrible, gut-wrenching silence, told me everything, so I opened the door. The cold rain hit my face instantly, sharp as glass. My clothes clung to my skin as I stepped out, clutching Aaron close to my chest. Mrs. Whitmore reached over and pulled the door shut with a hard slam. The car idled for a second, then drove off, its red taillights disappearing into the rain. I stood there in the middle of the road, soaked, shivering, and heartbroken, my baby crying softly against me. For the first time, I realized I was truly alone. The rain didn't stop. It came down harder, drenching my hair and soaking Aaron's blanket until it clung heavy against my arms. I looked around. The street was almost empty, just pools of water glowing under dim streetlights. I had no umbrella, no phone. I'd left my purse in the car in the rush of getting out. My mind was spinning, my body trembling, but one thought kept me moving. Find shelter. Protect Aaron. I started walking one step at a time. The sound of thunder echoed between the buildings, and each crack made Aaron whimper. I whispered softly, "It's okay, baby. Mommy's here. Mommy's here. The rainwater reached my shoes, cold and sticky. My arms ached from holding him so tight, but I couldn't let go. My heart felt heavier than the soaked clothes on my back. A small grocery store's lights flickered ahead. I rushed toward it, but as soon as I reached the door, the man inside waved me away. "We're closed!" he shouted, shaking his head. "Please!" I cried. "Just a few minutes, my baby." He hesitated, then looked at Aaron and sighed. "Try the shelter 2 blocks down," he said, pointing vaguely down the street. "They take women and children sometimes." I didn't even get to thank him before he turned the lights off. 2 blocks felt like 2 miles. My legs were stiff, my lips trembling uncontrollably. I finally found the shelter, a small church with a flickering cross above the door. I knocked hard, desperate. After what felt like forever, an older woman in a wool sweater opened it. Her eyes softened when she saw Aaron. "Oh, dear Lord," she whispered, pulling us inside. The warmth hit me instantly, and I almost collapsed from relief. She led me to a bench near the heater and handed me a towel. "You're safe here," she said. "I'm Sister Ruth. We'll get you something dry to wear." I nodded, unable to speak as tears poured down my face. I unwrapped Aaron from his wet blanket and kissed his tiny fingers. His skin was cold, but he was still breathing softly. Sister Ruth brought an old flannel blanket and wrapped him gently. "He's beautiful," she said with a smile that carried no judgment. "You rest now." But rest wouldn't come. I lay awake on the narrow cot they gave me, staring at the ceiling as rain drummed against the roof. My mind replayed the scene over and over. My mother-in-law's words, the car door slamming, Daniel's face frozen in silence. How could he let it happen? The man who once promised to love and protect me, the father of my child, had just watched me walk into the storm. By dawn, the rain had slowed. My eyes burned from crying, but I had made a decision. I couldn't go back. Not to that house, not to the woman who hated my child, and not to the man who didn't defend us. Sister Ruth found me sitting in the chapel, Aaron asleep in my arms. "You should eat something," she said kindly. I nodded. I just need to think." She sat beside me quietly for a while before saying, "Sometimes the people we love the most are the ones who break us the deepest. But pain doesn't mean the end. It can be the beginning of something new." Her words struck me. I realized I had spent so much time waiting for someone to save me, waiting for Daniel to be the man I believed he was, that I had forgotten I could save myself. By afternoon, I borrowed the shelter's phone and called a friend I hadn't spoken to in months. Leah. She'd been my college roommate before life pulled us apart. When she heard my voice, she gasped, "Anna, where have you been? Are you okay?" I broke down, telling her everything. "Come here," she said instantly. "I'll come get you. Don't go back there." When she arrived that evening, I almost didn't recognize her. The same warm smile, the same eyes full of compassion. She hugged me tight, then looked down at Aaron. "He's beautiful," she said softly. "You're safe now." For the first time in 24 hours, I truly believed it. As she drove me away from the shelter, I looked out the window. The storm clouds were breaking, and a faint pink light spread across the sky. It wasn't peace, not yet, but it was hope. And for now, that was enough. Leah's apartment was small but warm, filled with soft light and the scent of coffee. She gave me one of her shirts, made me tea, and helped me dry Aaron's tiny clothes on the radiator. For the first time in weeks, I didn't feel like an intruder. In those first few days, I barely spoke. Every time I tried to explain what happened, my throat closed. But Leah didn't push. She just stayed, cooking, talking about ordinary things, making me feel human again. On the third morning, while Aaron slept beside me, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Daniel. "Where are you? Mom is worried. Come home." I stared at the screen, shaking my head. Worried? The woman who had thrown me out into the rain? The man who sat there and watched it happen? I typed, deleted, and retyped, but I didn't send anything. Not yet. Over the next few days, the messages kept coming, some angry, some desperate. You shouldn't have left like that. You embarrassed my family. Please just come home. We'll fix this. But how do you fix silence? How do you repair the moment someone chooses not to speak when you needed them the most? Leah saw the pain on my face and said, "He doesn't deserve a reply. You owe him nothing." She was right, but part of me still wanted closure. I needed to know why. So a week later, I agreed to meet him. Not at his mother's house, at a small cafe downtown, the same place where he had proposed to me 3 years ago. When I walked in, Daniel looked smaller somehow, tired, nervous, older. His eyes flicked immediately to Aaron in his stroller, but he didn't smile. "Anna," he began softly. I didn't know what to do that night. "Mom, she just—" "Stop," I said. My voice was steady, surprising even me. "You did know what to do. You just didn't do it. She gets. And I too. Out it now."